against the windshield like 1,000 angry fists. Through the blur of water and darkness, Jessica Martinez saw it too late. A figure, materializing from nowhere, stepping directly into her headlights. The impact, that sickening, hollow thud that would echo in her nightmares for years to come. Her hands froze on the steering wheel, her breath catching in her throat as panic seized her entirely. Couldn't have been a person. Couldn't have been. People don't just appear in the middle of Harbor Drive during a storm. Her foot found the accelerator and she drove. Away from the sound. Away from the truth. Away from the moment that would bind her to a stranger she hadn't even met yet. 3 years later, on a sun-drenched afternoon that promised nothing but ordinary disaster, Jessica stood in her cramped apartment, completely unaware that the past was about to collide with her present. The sweet scent of jasmine mixed with baby powder filled the tiny space as Jessica tore through her living room like a woman possessed, hunting desperately for her daughter's beloved stuffed rabbit. 7-month-old Maya wailed from her carrier with the kind of fury only an infant could muster, her cherubic face turning scarlet as tears carved rivers down her plump cheeks. "I know, sweetheart. Mama knows." Jessica's voice carried that particular blend of exhaustion and tenderness that defined her existence now. Her fingers finally closed around the threadbare pink toy wedged impossibly behind the television stand. "Look who's here. Miss Cottontail came back to rescue you." The transformation was instantaneous. Maya's cries softened to hiccuping whimpers as Jessica pressed the rabbit into her small hands. But when her gaze landed on the clock, Jessica's relief evaporated. 27 minutes late. For a date. Her first date in over a year. The universe, it seemed, had a twisted sense of humor. Her babysitter's call had come 35 minutes ago. Food poisoning. Violent and immediate, which left Jessica staring at an impossible choice. Cancel the date she'd been simultaneously dreading and anticipating all week, or show up with a 7-month-old baby as her +1. Desperation, she'd learned, made optimists of even the most pragmatic people. "It's just coffee," she whispered to her reflection, grabbing both her purse and the overstuffed diaper bag. "Worst case, he takes one look at us and invents an emergency. Best case, he's human enough to understand and we try again another time." She paused at the hallway mirror, conducting a final assessment. Her chestnut hair was pulled into what she hoped passed for an elegant ponytail. The minimal makeup she'd managed to apply despite Maya's protests actually concealed most of the exhaustion painted beneath her green eyes. Her ivory sweater remained miraculously free of the various substances babies produced with alarming frequency. Small victories. The spring afternoon wrapped around her like a warm embrace as she navigated the crowded downtown streets. But her mind was elsewhere, spinning through scenarios, each more humiliating than the last. Her friend Patricia had orchestrated this blind date with the enthusiasm of someone who wasn't risking public embarrassment. Patricia, who kept insisting that Jessica needed to rejoin the land of the living, after what she politely called that situation with Maya's father. That situation. As if Daniel's disappearance could be summarized so neatly. As if the note he'd left, the unpaid bills, the complete and utter abandonment of his pregnant girlfriend could be reduced to a situation. Lakeside Coffee House occupied a prime corner on Harbor Avenue, its large windows offering a view of the botanical gardens across the street. Through the glass, Jessica could see a steady stream of customers. Busy, but not overwhelming. She'd chosen this location deliberately. The outdoor seating meant a fussy baby might go unnoticed, or at least be less disruptive. Strategic parenting at its finest. "Here we go," she murmured to Maya, who gazed up at her with those impossibly wide eyes. "Remember our deal, little one. No screaming, no diaper explosions, and we're out in 30 minutes flat. Deal?" Maya responded with a gurgle that Jessica chose to interpret as agreement, one tiny hand reaching for the strand of hair that had escaped her ponytail. She spotted him the instant she crossed the threshold. Tall, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit that looked like it cost more than her monthly rent and probably was custom tailored. He sat at a corner table, his attention fixed on his phone, an untouched espresso cooling in front of him. Even from across the room, everything about him radiated success and control and old money. Her stomach performed an uncomfortable gymnastics routine. Patricia had mentioned he was successful. She'd conveniently failed to mention he was this successful. "You must be Marcus," Jessica said, approaching the table with Maya's carrier strategically positioned behind her, as if she could somehow hide a baby through force of will alone. The man looked up, and Jessica felt the impact of his gaze like a physical thing. Steel gray eyes widened fractionally as they met hers, then traveled to the very obvious baby carrier she'd been attempting to conceal. Marcus Chun rose smoothly, and Jessica watched his expression shift in real time, polite interest morphing into surprise, then something more complicated she couldn't quite read. At 34, Marcus Chun had built one of the nation's most successful venture capital firms from absolutely nothing. Business Today had recently featured him in their Rising Stars edition, though he'd carefully maintained a low public profile. Money, Jessica had learned, could buy privacy when you knew how to spend it. Jessica. His voice was deep, controlled, measured, like everything else about him. Pleasure. And this would be? The question hung in the air between them, loaded with implications. Jessica carefully set the carrier down, feeling heat crawl up her neck and settle in her cheeks. "This is Maya, my daughter. I'm so incredibly sorry. My babysitter got sick at literally the last possible moment, and I didn't have your number to reschedule, and I just thought maybe..." The words were tumbling out too fast, her carefully rehearsed explanation disintegrating into verbal chaos. She forced herself to stop, to breathe. "I apologize for bringing my baby to our first date." Her smile felt brittle. "I completely understand if you'd rather reschedule. Or, flee the country." For a long moment, Marcus simply looked at her, then at Maya, then back at her. His expression remained maddeningly unreadable. Then he gestured to the chair across from him. "Please, sit. I took the liberty of ordering for you." Marcus's lips curved into something that might have been a smile. "Patricia mentioned you were partial to cappuccinos." Jessica blinked, surprise cutting through her embarrassment. "That was..." She settled into the chair, positioning Maya's carrier beside her. "That was thoughtful. Thank you." Silence descended, punctuated only by Maya's occasional coos and the ambient noise of the coffee shop. Jessica reached for her cappuccino, desperate for something to do with her hands. Marcus cleared his throat. "How old?" 7 months. Last Tuesday. Jessica felt some of the tension in her shoulders ease. Most men she'd attempted to date since Maya's birth had suddenly remembered urgent appointments or developed immediate interest in women without children. The fact that Marcus was still sitting here felt like a minor miracle. Some days I can't believe she's already 7 months. Other days, I can't believe it's only been 7 months. She has your eyes. Jessica couldn't help but smile at that. Everyone says that. Though honestly, I think she looks more like her father. The words escaped before she could stop them. She immediately wanted to snatch them back, to stuff them back down her throat where they belonged. You don't mention the ex on a first date, especially when the ex had abandoned you while pregnant. Marcus nodded, taking a deliberate sip of his espresso. Patricia tells me you're a graphic designer. Jessica could have kissed him for the subject change. She launched into a description of her work at the marketing firm, her freelance projects, the creative challenges, and occasional frustrations. Marcus listened with an attention that felt genuine, asking questions that revealed actual interest rather than polite obligation. The conversation began to flow more naturally. For a few precious minutes, Jessica almost forgot about the baby carrier beside her, about the awkwardness of the situation, about the fact that this impossibly put-together man was giving her the time of day. Then Maya started to fuss. "I'm so sorry." Jessica reached for the diaper bag, her cheeks flushing again. "She's probably hungry. I should really just..." "Take your time." Marcus's expression softened in a way that transformed his entire face. "I'll get us fresh drinks." As Marcus walked to the counter, Jessica quickly prepared a bottle, marveling at his unexpected patience. When he returned with 2 fresh cappuccinos, he watched with what appeared to be genuine interest as she fed Maya. "You make it look effortless," he observed, balancing everything. Jessica laughed, the sound carrying more edge than humor. "Trust me, it's an illusion." Most days I feel like I'm drowning and just barely keeping my head above water long enough to breathe. That takes strength. Marcus's voice went quiet, contemplative. Real strength. Not many people have it. Something in his tone made Jessica look up sharply. There was a shadow in his eyes, a hint of pain or loss or something deeper. Their gazes met and held, and for just a moment, Jessica felt like he was seeing past her exhausted single mother exterior to something more. The moment shattered when Marcus's phone erupted with urgent vibrations. He frowned at the screen, and Jessica watched his expression shift from annoyance to concern. "I apologize, but I need to take this. It's my executive assistant." He stood, already moving toward the door. Jessica nodded, continuing to feed Maya as Marcus stepped outside. Through the window, she watched his body language change, irritation giving way to what looked like genuine worry. When he returned several minutes later, his entire demeanor had transformed. "I hate to do this, but there's an emergency at the office. Something I need to handle personally." He pulled a business card from his wallet, scribbled something on the back with swift, decisive strokes. "This is my private number. I would very much like to see you again, Jessica. Both of you." The abruptness of his departure left her momentarily speechless. She looked down at the card. Marcus Chun, founder and CEO, Chun Capital Group. Below the printed information was a hastily written message. "Dinner. Friday. I'll arrange a proper sitter." As Marcus strode toward the exit, phone already pressed to his ear, Jessica felt hope and skepticism wage war in her chest. Men like Marcus Chen, wealthy and successful and devastatingly handsome, didn't pursue single mothers with student loan debt and baby formula stains on their clothes. Experience had taught her to be cautious. What she couldn't possibly know was that Marcus Chun was already instructing his assistant to clear his Friday evening, or that he was smiling for the first time in months, or that the real reason for his sudden departure, the emergency that wasn't quite what it seemed, would soon collide with her carefully constructed life in ways neither of them could anticipate. As she gathered her things, the barista approached with a small paper bag. "The gentleman paid for everything and asked me to give you this." Inside was a plush dolphin with a note attached in that same decisive handwriting. "For Maya. Every explorer needs a diverse crew." Jessica stared at the toy, unexpected tears stinging her eyes. Such a small gesture. Such a simple thing. Yet somehow it reached past all her carefully constructed defenses to touch something she thought Daniel had killed. "What do you think, little one?" she whispered to Maya, who had drifted into sleep. "Should we give the millionaire a chance?" The week crawled by with excruciating slowness, each day stretching into eternity. Jessica found herself checking her phone obsessively, half expecting the cancellation text that never came. By Thursday evening, when Marcus sent her detailed information about the babysitter, a Mrs. Patterson with impeccable references and 17 years of childcare experience, Jessica's nerves had reached a fever pitch. "I cannot believe I'm actually doing this." She paced her tiny apartment while her best friend Patricia watched with barely concealed amusement. "Do you have any idea what comes up when you Google Marcus Chin? Private jets, charity galas, board meetings with actual senators. That's exactly why I set you up with him." Patricia was methodically going through Jessica's closet with the determination of a woman on a mission. Successful, gorgeous, and according to my colleague's brother who works for him, genuinely decent to his employees. Treats them like actual humans, not worker drones. "But why me?" Jessica bounced Maya gently, trying to soothe her evening fussiness. "I'm a single mother living in a 400-square-foot apartment. I have student debt that will outlive me. My idea of a fancy dinner is takeout that doesn't come in a paper bag." Patricia emerged from the closet triumphantly, holding up a deep burgundy wrap dress. "Because you're brilliant and talented and refreshingly real in a world where he's probably surrounded by people who want something from him." She thrust the dress at Jessica. "This, with those silver earrings your aunt sent for your birthday." Jessica bit her lip. "It's just, I haven't let myself hope for something like this since Daniel. And we both know how spectacularly that ended." Patricia's expression softened. "Jess, not every man is going to be Daniel. You can't keep punishing yourself or Maya by closing yourself off from everyone." The doorbell rang at exactly 6:45. Mrs. Patterson was a warm-faced woman in her late 50s with silver-streaked hair and kind eyes that crinkled when she smiled. She arrived carrying a leather portfolio and exuding the kind of calm competence that immediately put Jessica at ease. Mr. Chun mentioned this would be your first time leaving your daughter with a sitter. Mrs. Patterson's voice carried a gentle Midwestern lilt. I brought all my certifications. CPR, first aid, background checks. Whatever you need to feel comfortable. Jessica glanced at Patricia, who raised her eyebrows as if to say, see, decent guy. After a thorough orientation, 3 attempts to leave, and Patricia physically steering her toward the door, Jessica finally made it out of her apartment. Go live a little. Patricia's voice followed her down the hallway. Your baby is in excellent hands. Marcus was waiting outside in a sleek silver Tesla, looking casually elegant in dark trousers and a navy blazer. When Jessica approached, he smiled. A real smile that reached his eyes and softened the sharp angles of his face. You look beautiful. He opened the passenger door. That simple, that direct. Jessica felt something flutter in her chest that she thought Daniel had killed. The restaurant was an exclusive rooftop establishment with a view of the harbor skyline that probably cost more per table than Jessica made in a month. As they were escorted to a private corner, she noticed the glances from other diners. Recognition flickered across faces. Marcus Chun was known here. A bottle of wine was already waiting at their table, chilling in an elegant silver bucket. I hope you don't mind. Marcus gestured to the wine as they sat. I thought we should celebrate something. Jessica raised an eyebrow. Oh, and what exactly are we celebrating? New beginnings. His gray eyes held hers, and there was a vulnerability there that seemed at odds with everything else about him. Second chances. Throughout dinner, Jessica found herself gradually relaxing. Marcus proved to be a thoughtful conversationalist with a surprisingly dry wit that caught her off guard and made her laugh. Real laughter, not the polite kind you offered on awkward dates. He asked about her design work and actually listened to her answers. He shared stories about building his company, the failures that preceded success, the nights he'd slept on his business partner's couch and lived on instant ramen and wondered if he was completely delusional. People see the magazine features, he said, swirling wine in his glass. The corner office, the success story. They don't see the 3 failed startups before this one. They don't see the months of sleeping 4 hours a night and wondering if you're about to lose everything. It's hard to picture you eating instant ramen. Jessica smiled. Marcus laughed. I still keep a stash in my desk drawer. Comfort food for late nights when I need to remember where I came from. As their desserts arrived, a decadent chocolate creation for her, espresso for him, Marcus's expression grew more serious. Can I ask about Maya's father? He met her gaze directly. You don't have to answer if it's too personal. Jessica tensed instinctively, but something about the evening, about him, made her choose honesty. His name is Daniel. We were together almost 3 years. When I got pregnant, she paused, choosing her words carefully. He left, said he wasn't ready for that kind of responsibility. No financial support, no contact. He just disappeared like I'd imagined the whole relationship. Marcus's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. That must have been incredibly difficult. It was. Jessica met his eyes. Still is some days. But Maya makes every exhausted morning and tight budget month worth it. She paused, then added, what about you? Patricia mentioned you were engaged once. A shadow crossed Marcus's face, deep and painful. Yes, Elizabeth. It ended about 3 years ago. When he didn't elaborate, Jessica didn't push. Instead, she redirected to safer territory, asking about his foundation that funded technology education for underprivileged youth. Something she'd discovered during her late-night Google research spiral. By the time they left the restaurant, a comfortable warmth had settled between them, something that felt almost like promise. In the car, Marcus hesitated before starting the engine. I need to confess something. He turned to face her fully. That emergency that cut our coffee date short. It wasn't entirely business-related. Jessica felt a flicker of concern. Oh, my younger sister was in a car accident. Minor, thankfully, She and her daughter were fine, just shaken up. But I needed to get to them. Marcus ran his hand through his dark hair in what Jessica was beginning to recognize as a tell. I didn't mention it at the coffee shop because it felt like oversharing for a first meeting. But now it feels like I was making an excuse to leave, and I don't want you to think that. You have a sister. Jessica processed this. A niece, Sophia. She's 5 and currently believes she's part fairy, part astronaut. Marcus's expression softened with obvious affection. Rachel, my sister, is also a single parent. Her husband died while she was pregnant. Something shifted in Jessica's perception of him. That's why you didn't run when I showed up with Maya. Partly, Marcus admitted. But mostly I was intrigued by you before you even walked through the door. Patricia speaks very highly of you. Nothing about our coffee date changed that. When they arrived at her apartment, Marcus walked her to the door. Mrs. Patterson reported that Maya had been an angel and was sleeping soundly. After settling the sitter's fee, over Jessica's protests that he'd already done too much, Marcus lingered in the entryway. I'd like to see you again. His voice was quiet. Both of you. Before Jessica could respond, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it automatically and felt the world tilt. The message was from a number she'd thought about deleting 1,000 times but never could. Daniel, we need to talk. It's urgent. Can I come by tomorrow? Everything okay? Marcus noticed her sudden tension. Jessica forced a smile, quickly tucking the phone away. Fine. Just my mom checking in. The lie tasted bitter, but she couldn't bring herself to mention Daniel. Not now. Not when the evening had been so perfect. I'd like that too. She pushed thoughts of Daniel aside. To see you again. Marcus's goodbye kiss was gentle, barely a brush of lips, but it left her heart racing long after he'd gone. As she checked on Maya, sleeping peacefully in her crib, Jessica felt torn between the unexpected joy of the evening and the dread of whatever Daniel wanted after all these months. The next morning found Jessica feeding Maya breakfast, trying not to think about Daniel's text, when the doorbell rang. Assuming it was Patricia coming to demand details, she opened it without checking. Daniel stood there, looking thinner and more haggard than she remembered, worn in a way that went beyond physical appearance. Hey, Jess. His familiar voice sent an unwelcome wave of complicated emotions through her. We need to talk. About Marcus Chin. Jessica's hand tightened on the doorknob, her mind struggling to process his words. What did you just say? Daniel shifted uncomfortably. Can I come in? I don't want to do this in the hallway. Every instinct screamed at her to slam the door in his face. But curiosity and growing dread made her step aside. Daniel entered cautiously, his eyes immediately finding Maya in her high chair, mashed banana decorating her cheeks. She's gotten so big. That happens in 7 months. Jessica's voice was cold. What could you possibly know about Marcus Chin? Daniel sank onto her sofa, looking exhausted in a way that went bone deep. I've been working for a private investigation firm. Just administrative stuff. About 4 months ago, Chun hired the company to investigate someone. He paused, rubbing his palms against his thighs. You, Jessica. The room seemed to tilt. What? That's insane. We just met last week through Patricia. Daniel shook his head. No, that meeting was orchestrated. Chen's been having you investigated for months. The blind date was just his way of meeting you without raising suspicion. Jessica's mind raced backward through every interaction with Marcus. The perfect timing of his emergency call. The babysitter with immaculate credentials. The personal details he seemed to know without her telling him. Why would he investigate me? I'm nobody to him. Daniel looked down at his hands. Because of Elizabeth Morgan. The name registered vaguely. His ex-fiancée. She died, Jess. 3 years ago. Car accident on Harbor Drive. Hit and run. Cold spread through Jessica's chest like ice water in her veins. I still don't understand what this has to do with me. Daniel's eyes finally met hers. The car that hit her was registered to your father. The words hung in the air like physical objects. Jessica shook her head automatically. That's impossible. Dad sold his car when he moved to Arizona 5 years ago. The insurance was still in his name. You were driving it that night, Jess. I remember. You borrowed it to transport that massive project to the gallery showcase. Memory crashed over her like a wave. The rainstorm, the terrible visibility, the dark shape that appeared in her headlights, the sickening thud. The moment of panic when she'd convinced herself it must have been debris because people don't just step in front of cars during storms. No, the word came out as barely a whisper. Chun kept it quiet, used his influence to minimize media coverage while he conducted his own investigation. Daniel hesitated. Look, I could lose my job for telling you this, but when I saw your name in that file, when I realized what he was doing, he trailed off. I may have been a terrible boyfriend and an absent father, but I couldn't just stand by. Maya began to fuss, sensing the tension. Jessica moved to her automatically, lifting her into her arms. The solid weight of her daughter grounding her as her world collapsed. So what are you saying? That Marcus is... what? Dating me for revenge? Daniel stood, pacing her small living room. I don't know his endgame. The investigation was thorough. Your friends, your family, your finances, even your medical records. At first I think he was building a case. But something changed recently. He started asking for different information. Your favorite restaurants, the baby food brands you buy, details about your daily routine. Jessica felt sick. Every moment with Marcus now seemed tainted. I need you to leave. Her voice was steadier than she felt. I need to think. Daniel looked relieved. At the door, he paused. Jess, be careful. Chun isn't just wealthy. He's powerful. He has connections that go all the way to the top. After Daniel left, Jessica placed Maya in her playpen and collapsed on the couch, mind racing. She should call the police. And say what? That she might have been involved in a hit and run 3 years ago? That a billionaire might be dating her under false pretenses? It sounded delusional. She picked up her phone and stared at Marcus's last text, sent just hours ago. Thank you for last night. Thinking of you both. Anger and humiliation rose in her chest. With trembling fingers, she typed, I know about Elizabeth Morgan. The 3 dots appeared immediately, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, we need to talk. Can I come over? No, she replied. Harbor Park, 3 p.m. By the fountain, public place. It seemed safer somehow. The next few hours passed in a blur. Jessica called Patricia, who arrived within 30 minutes, her face tight with concern. Jessica gave vague explanations, ignoring her friend's questions. The park was busy with weekend visitors. Jessica spotted Marcus immediately, standing by the fountain in a casual sweater and jeans that probably cost more than her rent. He looked different, more guarded. His easy smile replaced by a grim expression that confirmed her worst fears. How long have you known? He asked without preamble. About Elizabeth since this morning. Jessica hugged her arms around herself. Did you plan this from the beginning? Getting close to me, making me trust you, making me... She stopped before admitting she'd started falling for him. Yes. Initially, the simple admission hit like a physical blow. Why the elaborate setup? Why not just confront me or have me arrested? Because I needed to be sure. Marcus glanced around, then gestured to a more secluded bench. After a moment's hesitation, Jessica followed. The police investigation was inconclusive. He continued once they were seated. The only witness saw a red sedan but couldn't identify the driver. It took my investigators nearly 18 months to trace it to your father's insurance. So you decided to what? Seduce a confession out of me? Jessica's voice rose, drawing glances. Marcus's jaw tightened. I needed to look you in the eye to understand what kind of person could hit someone and drive away, leaving them to die alone in the rain. I didn't know. The words burst from her. I thought it was an animal or debris. It was pouring. Visibility was terrible. I never saw a person. For a long moment, Marcus simply stared at her, searching her face. I believed you were a monster. His voice lowered. I spent 3 years imagining the cold-hearted person who could do that, building you into a villain in my mind. Then I met you and Maya and nothing made sense anymore. So coffee was a test? And dinner? Was Mrs. Patterson recording us? Marcus flinched. No, nothing like that. By the time we had coffee, I'd already begun doubting my theory. Your background, your character, nothing aligned with someone who would commit hit and run. But you still didn't tell me the truth. Jessica stood abruptly. You let me believe there was something real between us when you were investigating me for killing your fiancé. As she turned to leave, Marcus caught her wrist gently. Jessica, wait, there's something else you need to know about that night. Something that changes everything. Jessica hesitated, torn between walking away and hearing him out. His expression was earnest, almost pleading. 5 minutes, she conceded, sinking back onto the bench. Then I'm leaving. Marcus nodded, visibly collecting himself. Elizabeth and I were fighting that night. She'd discovered I was meeting with her father's business rival about a potential merger. She saw it as betrayal, personal and professional. He stared across the park. She stormed out in the rain. I should have gone after her immediately, but I was angry too. By the time I did, it was too late. When the police couldn't identify the driver, I became obsessed with finding who was responsible. So you could make them pay? First, yes. Marcus admitted. Revenge was what kept me going. But something happened during the investigation. He turned to face her fully. 3 months ago, my team